Joining me now is writer and broadcaster Esther Krakue. Esther, Harry is never far from controversy, as we well know. Some of it's deserved and, well, some's a little over the top. He did cop some criticism, though, this week over a recorded video tribute to Sergeant First Class Elizabeth Marks, who was named Soldier of the Year by the Military Times. Now, what was this kerfuffle all about?
So the kerfuffle was for two reasons mainly. The medals he chose to wear for this remote presentation of the award. He wore basically three of the Queen's Jubilee medals, so her platinum and so forth, and then he wore his operational operational award for his time in Afghanistan. Now people are questioning why he didn't wear the medal that he got for coming to the king's coronation. People are saying that's a snub to the king, and he's trying to create a clear line between his life pre the Queen and before he fled to the US with Meghan, and after when his father became king. Now we're not sure. Obviously, it's hard to tell whether these kinds of moves are calculated by the Sussexes, because that would require us to give them a degree of intelligence and cleverness that many people are not necessarily willing to give them. The other controversy was why Prince Harry was the one presenting this award. You know, he's not an American soldier. Obviously, he has a relationship with the recipient, with Sergeant Marks, but he isn't an American soldier. This is kind of the highest award that you can get. This lady is a 5-time Paralympian athlete, champion, and she's, I think, a 4-time Invictus Game winner as well. So yes, they do have a relationship somewhat, but people are saying that they're better people to give her that award as opposed to Prince Harry. Some are accusing the Military Times of just using his name for popularity, for propaganda, for clout, that sort of thing. They feel like it's an insult, and they're more deserving people to hand out this award. And obviously there's controversy about, Prince Harry's time in Afghanistan. He was at the time third in line to the throne. People are saying that he wasn't in any real danger. So he may not be the best person to have actually been to vouch for the war in Afghanistan and being a serviceman there. Again, that's all down to speculation. But these are the main reasons why. I mean, Prince Harry has made it very clear that he was sad to give up his military sort of accolades and his ties to the military when he left the royal family. It's something that he's been very vocal about, and his ties to the Invictus Games has kind of been his way of still giving back to the community. But whenever you have these sorts of things, there's always going to be criticisms about why is he choosing to wear the kind of regalia that he is. This is someone that wasn't allowed to wear his military uniform for the king's coronation because that's an honor reserved only for working royals. And I'm sure that wasn't something that he was very happy with, especially because it was basically him and the disgraced Prince Andrew that were not in any sort of regalia.
And still on Harry, and there are whispers that the CEO of the Invictus Games is attempting to ease Harry out. Is that true, or is that just the function of an organisation becoming more established?
I think it's more the latter than the former. So Mike Tyndall, who is Prince Harry's cousin-in-law, effectively, has been made a patron of the Invictus Games. Now he's not, obviously Prince Harry, he didn't start the Invictus Games, but he has been made a patron of it. And people are saying maybe this is a move towards kind of detoxifying the brand, because everywhere Meghan and Harry goes, there's always some sort of noise or controversy, or they've not really endeared themselves to the public, so there's always going to be a certain degree of negative press that comes with it. People are always skeptical that they're doing what they're doing to make more Netflix dollars or to enrich themselves or to whinge more about their loss in life. But I don't think that that's the case. I think Prince Harry has been very clear that he's very dedicated to the Invictus Games because it's basically the last remnant of his life as a working royal. And I'm sure it's something that he holds dear. He seems very dedicated to military servicemen. Some of his actions have been quite peculiar in that respect, particularly talking about his Taliban kill count, which many former army military veterans have said that's a huge no-no. That's very grotesque and crass. But Prince Harry has made it very clear, at least vocally, that he is dedicated to the Invictus Games. So I don't think, even if they wanted to push him aside, they will. He is coming to the UK in May for the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games, and that's going to be another. There's going to be another question mark there. Is he going to reconcile with his family? What's the relationship going to be like with his family? Obviously, the Invictus Games is something that he was allowed to start because of the royal family, he did have a lot of help from his brother when he first launched it. So now that the relationship has basically broken down, there are questions about what is he going to do here? Rightly so, what is his relationship with the Invictus Games going to be? Are the royal family, can they say that this is no longer something that he can deal with? We don't know.
And last week on the show, we talked about Meghan releasing her strawberry jam product as part of American Riviera Orchard. And the discussion this week has turned to which celebrities received it. Do we know who they are?
Yeah, so she sent it to a whole host of celebrities, the likes of Kris Jenner, Mindy Kaling, Tracee Ellis Ross, the daughter of Diana Ross, who's now a well-known actress. So she sent it to kind of the who's who of Hollywood. Some of them went on her podcast, the doomed eventually failed podcast by Spotify that she had before it was cancelled. And so, she's trying to subtly create some buzz. These people putting it on their social media saying, thank you so much for our jam, Meghan. We've never had jam before. Is kind of drumming up the hype that they would like. There's obviously been a bit of a competition indirectly with the royal family's jam, the jam that they sell, and Meghan's jam. People are saying there's been an uptick in sales basically for the royal family's jam because people prefer to support the royal family's products as opposed to Meghan's products. Even though Meghan's jam isn't on the market, she's just sending it to celebrities to create buzz. And we'll see where it goes. It's a bit strange that she kind of went from a working royal, even though she wasn't in that position for long, to kind of like a Martha Stewart, influencer type wannabe. It should be an interesting transition. I'm sure people are waiting to see what she does with the brand. American Riviera Orchard, though, is quite a mouthful. I don't know who advised her on that name, but it sounds like some sort of series, or it's just I think she could have chosen a better name.
Yeah, and I did not have Battle of the Jams on my bingo card for 2024. But anyway, royal family news is the gift that absolutely keeps on giving. But still on American Riviera Orchard, and I do agree, it's an absolute mouthful. We understand that Meghan is struggling to find a CEO for the venture.
Yeah, so apparently there have been a few candidates that have been considered for the role. Again, it's not surprising because Meghan, I don't think she has the skills equipped to be the CEO. She'll probably just be the face of the brand. Since she and Harry moved on from the UK, it's clear that the only role they can carve out for themselves is some sort of influencer type role where they lend their names and they're soon, I suspect, to be defunct titles to anything that they do. Apparently they've been struggling to recruit a CEO. They've interviewed a few people. I have this sneaking suspicion that Meghan wants to hire like a woman of color. I don't know why. It just seems like something that's very on brand for her. And so she's kind of looking for the right PR fit as well for the CEO for this role. It's curious which kind of person will take it on. Gwyneth Paltrow's lifestyle brand Goop also has a CEO as well. So it's not something that's unusual, but we're just waiting to see how this kind of evolves.
We know Camilla was on the receiving end of some scathing criticism in Harry's memoir Spare, almost 18 months down the track. And we now learn about what was allegedly going on inside the palace at the time. Can you fill us in?
So apparently, Tom Parker Bowles, who's Camilla's son, wanted to come out to refute basically the allegations that Harry leveled against Queen Camilla, which were quite scathing. He basically called her a villain and said she was the person that led to the breakdown of her father's marriage to his mother, the late Princess Diana. Now we know from official sources that that's not true. The king has said that the marriage was irretrievably broken down before he rekindled his relationship with Queen Camilla. There were also reports from the palace that Princess Diana and King Charles were completely incompatible. The age difference didn't help. So obviously Prince Harry's retelling of this narrative in his book in such a scathing way obviously didn't endear himself to members of the royal family, particularly Queen Camilla. But her son took it quite personally, and apparently Prince William was actually very vocally supportive of Tom setting the narrative straight, but he couldn't come out and say it because obviously it's not his place to say anything. I think a lot of the allegations and that were made by Prince Harry in Spare, he knew that his family would not be able to rebuff them, and it's unfortunate that a lot of these rumors have been allowed to fester. Obviously, it hasn't done much reputational damage to Queen Camilla because that was a lifetime ago. The public has kind of, got over it. It humanized them in a sense because the human beings make mistakes. It's not necessary for these kinds of things to follow you and follow on. But it's just one of those things that shows why the relationship between the Sussexes and the royal family is unlikely to improve anytime in the future. It's really sad that these two adults, Harry and Meghan, have conducted themselves in a way that will also affect their children's relationship with the royal family. Bizarrely, they've chosen to bestow the titles of prince and princess onto their children, but they have no relationship with the institution or the people that make their titles possible. And it's just stuff like this, like basically insulting his stepmother in his book, that really not only riled up rightly her son and Prince Harry's brother, but also the rest of the general public who think it's catty and immature.
Ultimately, I think, though, Camilla has played the long game and she's come out of all of this looking very good, particularly over recent months. She's taken on such a huge amount of the workload. She really is a rock for King Charles. And I think, yes, you're quite right. Those things all happened a long time ago. And I think broadly the British public have a much better view of Camilla now. But equally, we've seen over recent times how close King Charles and Princess Katherine appear to be. And there was a great piece in the Mirror this week about how Katherine has helped Charles become more relatable. What are your thoughts on that?
I think absolutely. I think the relationship between Princess Catherine and the King is one that the public has really seen as having grown, as having blossomed. We know that the King Charles wanted a daughter. He wanted Harry to be a Harriet, and this was infamously caused a sort of acrimonious relationship between him and his former mother-in-law, Princess Diana's mother. So Princess Catherine is almost like the daughter he never had, and she's always been, really supportive. He was very supportive of her video that she released, where she announced that she was undergoing preventative cancer treatment. In her documentary, or the King's documentary for his coronation, you could see that she was almost like a bit of a rock for him. She's been very supportive during Prince Philip's funeral. She was very comforting to King Charles, and their relationship has really just gone from strength to strength. She's become such a pivotal figure in the royal family, in the institution, and she's very key to his reign now. He's waited his whole life to become king, and the people that he has around him to support him are very important. His son William, his wife Queen Camilla, and Princess Catherine. Even now that she's undergoing cancer treatment, she has 3 children to take care of, and she has a lot of still work to do. And once she comes back in the fold, I suspect, after undergoing her treatment, or until she's sufficiently well enough to do that, I'm sure King Charles will also appreciate that added support. King Charles has gone back to official duties, limited official duties this week, because he's been clear that the doctors are happy with his progress. But the kind of support that Princess Catherine has lent him has been, immeasurable. And I'm sure deep down he hoped that something similar would have been the case for Meghan. I'm sure it would have been a huge asset to the royal family, but unfortunately that didn't turn out to be the case.
Absolutely, and I think it's been great news and a great announcement this week to see the palace say that the King is coming back to public duties. And this week they've also announced a visit by the Emperor and Empress of Japan in June. This is a great forward planning step, I suppose, particularly for Charles getting back to those public engagements. What's the purpose of this visit?
The purpose of this visit is obviously to deepen ties with Japan. You can never underestimate the power, the soft power that the royal family has. King Charles went to Japan on official visits 5 times as Prince of Wales, on the more recent in 2008, where he went with Queen Camilla. And so he went to the enthronement of the now Emperor of Japan. So he has some sort of working relationship with the Japanese royal family. But this is also a stroke of diplomatic genius, because it's to deepen Japan's ties with the UK, particularly the economy, signing a free trade deal, which Kemi Badenoch has said is one of her priorities, and the King has a role to play in that. We saw the successful invitation of South Korea's president last year in the royal visit. You had, members of K-pop groups there, and a Korean Premier League football player that were there, really kind of just showing the diplomatic genius that the royal family can exert. And so this is going to be something similar. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I think it's a few weeks before the Olympics start in Paris, and all that pomp and ceremony always make headlines here in the UK, and it's something that's very much loved. And it really shows the value of the royal family. No one does that kind of diplomacy like them.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Esther Krakue, thank you as always for joining us.